Leaving the camp was very hard. We had young children and sick people with us, walking along the way under gunfire while the kids cried in fear. Before, we demanded to return to our village, Al-Mansi. Now, all we want is to go back to the camp, even if it means sitting in the rubble.
Let's get more on this with Abu Eqtaish. She's a human rights advocate working with Defence for Children International Palestine. Ayed, is what's happening today in the occupied West Bank, is that really on the same level, on the same scale as what happened in 1948 and 1967? I mean, 1948 saw some 700,000 Palestinians expelled from their homes.
I think that this is what the Israelis want to achieve, to displace Palestinian camps from its residents. So far, around 50,000 Palestinians were displaced from the northern governorates, mainly Jenin camp, Tul Karim camp, and Nur Shams camp. And I think that the Israeli attempts is supported by extremist Israeli government at the time being. So I think what the Israelis want to achieve is to displace Palestinians from the occupied Palestinian territories. They started in Gaza. They put all their efforts in order to displace forcefully displace Palestinians from there, and at the same time they are trying to do the same thing in the West Bank. They started in the Palestinian refugee camps in the northern part of the West Bank. So now Palestinians, they are suffering a lot as a result of this policy. Displaced people are left without proper shelter, essential services, and access to healthcare and education. So this is the Israeli policy that they want to achieve through force, through bombarding Palestinian camps, using airstrikes and putting pressure on people in order to leave their places.
Sure. And even parts of the Israeli establishment wouldn't argue with that intention that you're spelling out there for us, and thank you for that. I guess one thing that strikes me is there just seems to be such little appetite globally and from the international community to do more than simply condemn this, more than just stern words. Do you think anything will change that?
I think it's the responsibility of the international community to protect the international humanitarian law and international human rights law. But so far, as Palestinians, we feel that the international community almost is doing nothing in order to stop the Israeli genocide and the Israeli forced displacement of Palestinians, whether in the West Bank or in Gaza Strip. We believe that at the disposal of the international community, a lot of tools in order to prevent the Israelis from implementing their policies. Among these tools as political pressure, economical pressure, diplomatic pressure. But so far, Israel is practicing and implementing its strategy without any interference from the international community to put an end to these practices. In the contrary, we feel that there is support for these policies from the greatest power in the world, and this is a green light for Israel in order to continue the policies to displace Palestinians and cleansing them from the occupied Palestinian territory.
Yeah, I guess what you're saying is that it is the responsibility of the international community, and they do have mechanisms at their disposal, but they're not using them. I think that's quite clear. So what would prompt the international community to use these mechanisms to put this political and economic pressure on Israel to stop what may become another mass displacement? I mean, you've said 50,000, but as we go back to 1948, that was 700,000 Palestinians displaced. What is going to prompt them to use those levers?
I think that the international human rights law and international humanitarian law and the international law in general at the stake. It's not just related to the Israeli-Palestinian issue. Now, all the principles and the standards of that the international community devoted the last 80 years in order to establish are not implemented, and people started asking about what's the value of the international law if these laws and principles can to protect civilian people during this very difficult times. So we believe that the issue is not related just to what's going on against Palestinians now, but it may be repeated against many people all over the world. So we believe that it's the responsibility of the international community in order to maintain these principles and put these principles in place in order to protect humanity.
Okay. Ayad Abu Eqtaish, thank you so much for your input today.